everyone, welcome to the Northland Artists Conversation. My name is Mark, I am your host. We'll keep it simple this time round. Hey, thank you very much for checking us out. This is week 5 of our podcasts in May, celebrating New Zealand Music Month, which is in its 25th anniversary. So we decided that we were going to highlight some of the amazing musicians that are located here in Northland, and also one or two that have just kind of popped into the region, so it's been very cool. If this is your first one, make sure you go and back and have another listen to some of the previous ones that we've done. We have been blessed with some truly amazing and talented people, and I could not be more grateful for them choosing to come in and sit down and spend time with us. So I'm going to go to my wide camera. Well, it's not my wide. The wide is there's like me in an empty chair. This is just my camera. Oh, geez. You know what? After having done this for 3 years, you'd thought I had my shit together by now. Apparently not. Still making the same cock-ups I always have, but that's fun, right? So, on today's celebration podcast, who are we going to check out? We're going to check out June Pitman. Now, June is one of those amazingly multi-talented people. She is an author, and she's a musician, and she does some stuff with a few other very, very cool creative segments or sectors as well. So amazing woman. We're going to have our second interview with Maggie Cocco. This one we sort of dug a little bit deeper this time around. The very first one that we did, I believe, is on the first sort of the week 1 of New Zealand Music Month. This time around we dug a little bit more into the music and those sorts of things. There's definitely a lot of gold that was there to be mined, so we did that. We will then also have a local rapper called Malistk, and Malistk is based in Moriwa, or Kawakawa, in that area, if I remember correctly. If I remember wrong, Malistk, I do apologise. It was actually funny running into you at Bunnings that time, but hey, Whangarei is a small town, right? But still cool. And then our last one is beat maker extraordinaire, and he does all of the audio engineering for the podcast, Steven Cox. Steven has the most unfortunate nickname ever. I don't know if we dive into that in the podcast, but if you know, you know. And I'll leave it at that one. So let's get this done. Let's end on a high note. Week 5, celebrating the amazing musical talent we have here in Northland. Let's get into it. Let's have a look at and see what we've got for the New Zealand Music Month 25th anniversary celebration. So you sort of started your music, essentially the music was kind of the first thing that took you, right?
Yeah, it was. And I think that through high school in particular, because of Miss Ockenball, I joined a little group of us we're a little bit rebellious. It's a girls' school, right? And so I had to make our own fun. And there was a sort of a group of girls that would meet and write songs at lunchtime in the bike sheds. Mm-hmm. And so I'd sort of gravitate and join that group, and we'd write songs in the bike sheds. And then in the holidays, I'd come into town and stay with friends in Whangarei.
Sure.
And,
yep.
You know, just there was this promoter in Whangarei in those days called Joe Brown.
Okay.
And God, and top of the pops in the New Zealand pop scene were the Chicks, of course,
yes,
and Larry Morris and Shane and all of them.
He sang the song "She's a Bod."
Oh, Ray Columbus. Yeah,
there we go.
Wasn't really particularly a fan of Ray's, but Larry Morris and Shane and all of those guys were.
Yeah.
And, you know, making their way in TV and on those shows. And, I wanted to be one of those.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Okay.
But I never made it out of the front room of my friend's house. We had a little wee tape recorder, and we'd make music in there.
Did you, at high school, did you get up on stage and do any performing?
Oh, look, I did until I got shut down. So anything musical, I was there.
Okay.
And I joined the choir. And,
yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and, oh, God, I forget his name now, but there was the choir teacher was away one day, and this man came along and took the choir. Mm-hmm. He was a teacher there. I can't remember his name now. But and we were singing Age of Aquarius, and I just thought, you know, that was by the Fifth Dimension.
Yeah, yeah.
and it's the kind of era that we were in. And,
yeah.
When the moon is in the 7th house, and
Yep.
I'm a bit of
And
a
Jupiter
lyricist.
aligns.
Yeah, who the hang thinks of lyrics
Exactly,
like that?
yeah.
You know, and so so we were singing out Aquarius, and I belted it out, and he said to me, "That's really good, June, but you're way too loud." And from then
Really?
on, I shrunk.
My goodness.
Yeah, I was so embarrassed.
Isn't that funny how, and it's
Mr. Burton, his name was.
Mr. Burton.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Burton, if you're watching, that's not very supportive.
I did tell him. I met him years ago at a reunion.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "Do you remember taking the choir?" And I sang too loud, and you told me
You
not
told
to.
me off.
And he said, "Oh, I don't remember."
I also did the choir as well at high school, and it's quite funny how teaching styles have evolved over the years. Now it's a very supportive environment, and if you're creative and that sort of stuff, it's very nurturing, and they try and foster that creativity. I remember doing the choir, and my choir teacher saying, "It's great, Mark. You've got passion. You're flat. You don't have a future in singing, but we like your energy, so you can stay." And I was like, right, well, it doesn't really feel like a compliment. Doesn't feel like an insult either. So I stayed for a couple of years, but it's just, it was a bit more brutal back then. Yes, honest.
Yeah, I mean, coming through intermediate school, for example, there was always shows and musical things
Yeah.
I gravitate to
Yeah.
there, and I go for the percussion because at least I could beat something,
Right.
beat a time. I mean, not beat up.
Yeah. Okay. You want to beat something?
Yeah, beat something. Yeah,
beat something in a
tambourines and
musical.
stuff like that,
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
triangle,
yeah.
and little those stick things,
Yeah.
like stick games. I could do those.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if I wasn't in the right key or a chord or
No, it doesn't matter. You just, as long as you can keep it
It was
tempo.
music, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, beat,
Yeah.
beat. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that was the beginning of my early performing years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's, I imagine receiving that feedback from Mr. Burton, bit of a knock to the ego,
Totally.
knock to the confidence,
Totally. Here was I, and a secluded child with a little bit unconfident about.
a little bit introverted.
Yeah, probably. Very
Okay.
shy.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Okay.
shy. Unless I was in the right crowd that made me feel okay. I'm not
Yeah, people you're comfortable
I'm not shy
with.
anymore.
No, good. Yeah, I think it's hard to be shy as a performer as well.
Yeah.
So Mr. Burton knocks a little bit of the wind out of your sails. Do you still keep progressing with music, or does that sort of taper off a little bit?
Well, it kind of tapered off when I left high school, I
Yeah.
guess. I had dreams of heading off to America and becoming famous and going to Woodstock and all of that.
Oh yeah.
But then I met the boy with the red sports car, and it was all over.
Oh.
Yeah, it totally took me away from music.
Oh, the boy with the red sports car.
Boy with the red sports car, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
So it would be probably, not until my 30s that I went back into music.
Oh
discovered
wow!
music.
So you had a decade long, a decade long gap,
I
10,
got
15
married
years.
very young, and I decided to get married very young. And
Okay.
decided to have a family so I could grow old with them. Grow up with them or
Yep.
something.
Yeah. Grow with them.
Grow with them so I could climb trees and do cool stuff.
Yeah. Be the cool young hip
Yeah.
mum.
But then my oldest daughter was born with natural rhythm, and it was a bit of a reflection of what I was like, I think, as a child.
Right,
And
yep.
so I took her into guitar lessons.
Mm-hmm.
She was 7, and she started guitar lessons and surpassed the teacher. And then so I then put her into country music because we were living in a country town at the
Yeah.
time. The only outlet musically was country music. So
So you've obviously moved away from Whangarei.
oh yeah.
Where are you now?
Oh, now, yeah, so from Whangarei went out, is it west, to Titoki, and then
Yep,
went
I think it's
down
west,
to
yep.
Tapora in
Okay.
the Kaipara Harbour.
Yeah.
So the nearest town is Wellsford.
Oh right. Okay.
Not much happened there.
You know what? Still not much happening there. It's the town you kind of just speed on through.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got how many kids?
3.
3 kids. 7-year-olds hitting the guitar lessons, doing country. you've obviously put all of your artistic expression kind of on the back burner?
Yeah, I was sort of living vicariously through her for a time.
Right,
And so
okay.
my music, I mean, God, give me the shower and I was a star.
Yes.
The shower cubicles.
Exactly.
My
I
recording
sound
studio,
amazing.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
Yep.
So anyway, my daughter was getting involved in country music, and so I became her sort of voice coach and
Right.
things, not having ever sung in public myself, but thought I knew a bit.
Yeah.
I watched all the shows, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I should tell you that when we were kids, my sister and I would pretend we were the chicks, so we used to sing in our hairbrushes, using our hairbrushes as microphones.
I mean, all singers have done that at one point or another.
Yeah, we were really cool and we thought we were going to be famous, but
Yeah.
that's another whole different story.
That's brilliant.
So, and that would happen after Saturday night shows like Happening and things. We were watching black and white TV, you know, it looked so groovy. Yeah, so once that show finished, we were in the bathroom with our hairbrushes pretending.
And looking in the mirror, getting your choreographed moves down.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
In the mirror with a big crack in the middle.
Yeah, it's always the crack. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah. So there's my daughter singing away in the country music club, and she says to me, "Mum, I think you should come and sing with me."
Okay.
And she said,
Okay.
and she plays the guitar. I mean, she knows more than 4 chords. I've got 4 chords that I can beat out a song on, you know. So we go along there, and there was this little song that Dolly Parton used to sing. In fact, I think she wrote it, and it was called "Me and Little Andy."
Okay.
It's a tearjerker country song about this little kid that it's Christmas time and he's got no food, and he knocks on the door and says, "Ain't you got no gingerbread? Ain't you got no candy?"
Okay. Yep.
For me and little Andy. And so we sang that, and you know, I'm fudging it on guitar, you know, my daughter's doing a really good job, and we sang this song in harmony.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. So we did that a few times at the Country Music Club, and they said, "We didn't know you could sing." And I, no.
It was like a hidden talent.
You know, and then she saw an advertisement in the local newspapers saying that, there's going to be this musical theatre and they're looking for people to audition.
Yep.
It's going to be a musical showtime, it's called. So why don't you come and audition with me, Mum? So off I go, and I have my best Barbara Streisand tucked under my under my shoulder.
If you're going to go strong.
Yeah, I think it was Evergreen. Everybody sings Evergreen, don't they, when they go for an audition?
I think they do. I've certainly been to enough musical theatre auditions to see that get busted out on more than one occasion.
Yeah, yeah. It's either that or Summertime if you're a jazz singer.
It is.
Musicians hate Summertime sometimes. But yeah, so we go to this audition, and anyway, I do my rendition of Evergreen, and she does her thing, and we both end up in the, chosen to be part of the cast.
Yeah.
And so there we were, just thinking, we'll be just in the chorus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the show was made up of a variety of skits and performances and things, including a female vocal group styled on the idea was that they would be styled on the Andrews Sisters 4-part harmony.
Oh, okay, yes.
And so that was nothing to do with me until one day they had a fight. The 4 vocalists had a fight, and one of them decided, "I'm walking."
That's it, I quit.
And so she left.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yep.
So in the meantime, I've been practicing this duet. I Know Him So Well from Chess, the musical Chess.
I love Chess.
Yeah, so I got to do the
Elaine
Barbara
Page.
No,
Not the
Barbara
Page.
Dixon.
Right.
Barbara Dixon
Okay.
harmony, which was great.
Yeah.
And the other lady that got the Elaine Page part was dark-haired and I was blonde.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggested that, we could dress up like chess pieces. I'll wear a black frock.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
can wear a white one. And we'll
Definitely.
sit back to back on stools. So that's what happened later on. But anyway, so we were, I was chosen to be part of that duo.
Mm-hmm.
And then this fight happened. And then someone said, "Can you read music?" I said, "No." "Can you learn off a tape recording?" "Yep."
Yes.
And they said, "Do you think you could do 4-part harmony?" And of course, coming from a family of 17 uncles and aunties, we all fell into harmonies.
Yeah, you can
Māori
do like
harmonies,
a 17-part harmony.
But all Maori music is sort of like natural feel. So I said, "Yep." And next minute, I'm adopted into this vocal group.
That's amazing.
The Andrews Sisters. Yeah, we thought we'd hit it big time in the Wellsford Community Hall.
The Northland Artists Conversation is proud to support Te Kōwhai Print Trust. Te Kōwhai Print Trust are an amazing organisation that are located on Selwyn Ave in Whangarei. Te Kōwhai Print Trust do such amazing things as being a workshop and educational facility in fine art printmaking, as well as keeping a nationally significant historical archive of fine art prints. These guys are absolutely amazing. I had a chance to meet up with them last year, and the work they do is so incredibly cool. It's just amazing the types of things you can do, from like screen printing to lithography. Absolutely unreal, and it's so much fun as well. So Northland Artists Conversation are incredibly proud to support Te Kōwhai Print Trust. So you've been on stage, you've done the duet, I Know Him So Well, and then you almost have to then get out of that costume and then get ready for the next performance, or is it the other way round?
Yeah, kind of like that, depending on where you were scheduled in the show.
Okay,
yeah. But talking about getting out of other costumes, I suppose it's a good segue into where that all ended up, and that was that. Out of the woodwork came an idea that, wow, that quartet sounds really good. Let's form a band around them. And next minute, this 21-piece big band was formed.
Really?
Yeah, in the little town of Welsford.
Now, big bands, they're something that haven't been around for quite a number of years. I mean...
Oh, yes, they are.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Because I remember big bands of...
like the Glenn Miller Orchestra.
Yeah, Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
All of those guys, but that's they sort of seem very much of a bygone era.
Yeah. Well, this no, they're very. I mean, there might not be as many of them, but they're still around in Auckland.
Okay.
And Whangarei has its own
Have they
big
got its
band.
own big band up here?
Yeah, it's performing at the Flames in December for the jazz club.
Flames.
Hotel.
Onarahi.
Onarahi.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Basin City Big Band.
Basin City Big Band.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. For people that are watching or listening, Basin City Big Band.
Yeah.
Flames in November. December.
Yeah, first Sunday of the month.
Okay.
Yeah. And
anyway, your big band. Just you're promoting everyone else.
Yeah. So anyway, out of that quartet, this 21-piece big band was formed, and musicians came. There was an ad that was put in the local paper, and then out of there, some great experienced musicians who had sort of semi-retired came out of the woodwork, and next minute, 21-piece orchestras formed.
Wow.
With four female singers.
That very much happened out of an accident.
Out of an accident, yeah.
Far out.
Yeah. And that led to, so that band performed locally for various number of gigs and things, and as women, as a vocal group, we sang, 4-part harmony over Manhattan Transfer, tunes like Java Jive and things like that, and also the Andrews Sisters. And then we broke off into independent singers, soloists. So
would it be like you'd have the band behind you, and you might do part of a set where there's 4 of you, and then might be part of a set where there's like one of you,
one singer in the whole band? So backed by a 21-piece band.
Okay.
And then that led on to someone asking me if I'd be interested in being a vocalist for a small jazz ensemble. And jazz hadn't really been a feature in my life then. I liked all forms of music, including country, rock, and all sorts of things, but the idea of jazz, I kind of got it, and just the way it's you're able to free fall over jazz a bit more, have a bit more license to be creative, and although it's taken me a long time to feel comfortable with, understanding the concept of holding back, sitting off the beat, just relaxing, and and that's where jazz, it's not sort of syncopated like most music is.
It's not as heavily structured either, is it?
It is heavily structured, but it's more of a laid back. It's all about the timing. Okay. But where to sit. Yeah. The lyric on the timing.
Yeah. I never. It's funny. I never got into jazz per se, like Miles Davis and that sort of stuff. I discovered a jazz guitarist by the name of Alan Holdsworth. who was very freeform.
Right.
And he inspired a Swedish metal band called Meshuggah, which there's probably a high chance you haven't heard of them either,
Yeah, no,
but that's okay. But their music is all based around odd time signatures and playing, off 4, or not having a particular, not knowing where 1 is. So for me, that's kind of about my jazz-ness. It's about as much as I know. But I mean, having gone and seen some people, we were talking about this before.
Yeah.
The bar in Auckland. Now, what was that called? Can you remember?
The London Bar?
London Bar. Certainly gave me a bit of a better understanding, because I mean, I thought that jazz was like Frank Zappa.
Right.
Just weird. Out of the park, and it would be like, oh look, they've all met up together and they're all off again. And as a singer, I would listen to that and think, okay, that would be nightmarish.
Yeah, improvisation. Hey?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's when I talk about being a jazz singer, I look at the sort of contemporary jazz music, the classic jazz,
Like
the Ella Fitzgerald type things,
right,
Billie Holiday,
okay,
that sort of thing.
Yep.
But also, I mean, I studied jazz history at Massey University when I was working there, and got such an appreciation for actually doing the homework on the roots of jazz, if you like, to be able to bring it into context and have a bit more understanding of why it is how it is, But I'm not into kind of like the cranium, what I call the cranium jazz, which is, a lot of academic
Cerebral
jazz. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that gets quite highbrow. I like to think as a singer, my job is to give music to people that they can understand.
Yeah.
They don't have to try and
make
think
it
out
accessible.
and figure it out.
Not give them headaches.
Yeah.
Where
But
they're
do it
sitting
my
down
way.
going, yeah.
Unlike Frank Sinatra, do it my way.
Exactly. Not like, and here's a chord change, and we're going to be doing this in 8/13. Good luck counting it. I see that you're also doing the What the Folk.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
And then there's the other band that you've got as well.
I'm in 9 bands.
9. So what's it like having no life?
Yeah, it depends who you ask, know. And it depends when you ask me.
Yeah.
And it depends because some people are like, you're living the life, and I most of the time I feel like I am.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's explore that a little bit, because being a full-time musician in New Zealand is not as easy as being a full-time musician, say, in Australia or the UK or America.
I don't think it's easy anywhere. I think the hustle is, you have to hustle at this, no matter where you are. And I guess in my experience so far, the level of hustle I have just kind of works for me, no matter where I'm at.
Okay. How do you juggle? Man, I can't even believe I'm about to say this. How do you juggle 9 bands? Because it's not just you. There's different people and egos and all of that sort of stuff. I struggled with one band, and it was 5 of us.
That's because you were too invested in that one band, is what it is.
Oh yeah.
I'm not the admin on most of those bands. I have my baby, which is Science for Sociopaths.
Okay.
I have that I put most of my admin type brain into.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of bands that I'm in, and I know what my job is. I don't have to put too much thought into that, because it's just what I do anyway, and I just show up and do my job. Someone else handles the admin for those bands.
Okay. So I mean, that must, that certainly must sort of help ease the load as well. But 9 bands is still scheduling. And
they're not all like hyperactive and stuff like that. It's like
they're not all out to try.
No, they're all at different
levels,
and they all do different things. So I've got my indie singer-songwriter project, which is Science for Sociopaths. I've got Sand Detroit Band, which is a covers band, just wedding corporate, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I am the admin on that one, but I don't that's a word of mouth band.
Right. Okay.
So I don't do too much with it, and
so not one of those big push.
No, I don't big push on that one. It's just we do a good job. People know, so they hire us, which is nice. It's mostly like private parties. Occasionally, the venue opening or something.
Pays pretty well.
Yeah, that one
it's covers,
has to pay well.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
No, I do love playing covers, but I get my fill of playing. Like, this is,
There's only so many times you can play hits from the 70s and 80s and be like, well, we're good now.
Yeah. Well, I never mind playing covers because the audiences love them.
Yeah, definitely. Do you sort of slip in? You go, here's a bunch of covers, just go slip one of ours in.
Not usually.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been because we're mostly doing weddings and stuff like that.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Occasionally, if it's like a pub gig and I've got the audience in the palm of my hand, so I know they'll be receptive because they like me.
Yep.
Then I will do that.
Okay.
But you got to read the room.
Yes. And we were talking about reading the room before as well. It's very important to read the room.
It's very important to read the room.
Now, I was fortunate enough to see you play just recently at Butter Factory, opening for John Toogood. As someone who's going on before someone that is so beloved by Kiwis and did very much a Kiwi set, you know, he did, I gotta make sure I get this right, he did 3 of his own solo songs, then he did 4 She Hard / Pacifier songs, but the rest were covers.
Yeah.
Now yours was mainly originals.
Yeah.
With, guys, so you did it right at the end, and I just fucking loved you for it. You did Nutshell at the end.
I did,
which was great, and watching a bunch of drunk idiots try and sing it was great.
It was good for that audience.
It was amazing. Yeah, it really was. But how does that, how does that sort of work for you when you're going, cool, I'm not the feature artist. People know me, and I've certainly, but I'm essentially here as the support act. Well,
and at that particular gig, I knew very few of the audience members. I had a handful of people that were there for me, but it was a packed house for John Toogood. Yeah. So and I'm not listed on the promotional material or anything like that. No. So I am an unwelcome surprise that they have to sit through for an hour, kind of thing, unless.
Unwelcome surprise. So cold.
Well, it's true though.
It's not like surprise you've got herpes. It's just like Jesus. It's like, can't you just go, I'm an added bonus?
Well, you want to think that, but if you go in with that, like, I'm an added bonus, appreciate me as an added bonus, you're not being realistic, because that's not how the audience is seeing it. They're like, where's John?
Yeah.
So you have to approach it like, I am going to get these people on side. Yeah. And I'm going to hold them there. Yeah. And so you have to work for it. And I don't always get it right, but thankfully at the show that you were at, I nailed it. And so I got on stage, and I'm trying to remember what I did. It was a little bit of like willing it into existence. I started, you know what I did?
You started at the end.
I did.
And you were like, I'm going to start at the end of Science for Sociopaths. And then you kind of went all around the show.
Yeah. So I said I didn't play my song cycle all the way through.
Yeah.
You can't do that with an audience that's not prepared for that. So what I did was I gave them kind of a sampler of some different things that I can do. And I did, you're right. I started with, we're going to start at the end. I said very little. I said, we're going to start at the end, which is just just to create some intrigue. Yeah. And it worked, because people were like, what do you mean?
Yeah. Start at the end. Does this mean one song, then John? I'm okay with one song, then John.
Yeah. And then I think I willed it. I willed their paying attention into existence by doing by praising it into existence. So I think like between the first and the second song, very early in the set, I was like, I knew an audience of John Toogoods would be a good listening audience, and then they were like, we're a good listening audience. Yeah. And so you just kind of like guide them into, and it doesn't always work. If you've got a group of people there that are they're just there to drink and to see John, then, you know, there's you a lot of them you can't, sometimes you just can't. There's nothing you could say or do to get them on side. But a lot of the times, if you are playing it right, you can.
Yeah.
And so it worked out really well. I was really happy with it.
Interestingly enough, there were a few people that I knew through work, but also personally, that were there, and they actually said they had a really good night as a whole.
Cool.
Not just John, who they'd paid to go see, but they actually thoroughly enjoyed you and your work as well. So I was like, fuck yeah. Were you expecting her to suck?
Well, but
no. I know you have no idea what you're in for, but
though, you know.
But John Toogood's not going to go, hey, look, so I want to get a year 12 kid that's never gigged and has written 3 songs about, you know, anything to do with acne and chasing girls. You know, let's get them to open up for me. He's going to pick a quality musician, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The thing about creatives that I think is amazing is that we do it anyway.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people, because like what we do is inherently riskier in so many different ways, in vulnerability ways, financially, if you're trying to make a living off of it. But I don't think we're unique in that, but in the feeling these imposter syndrome type things. But I do think that we face it more than most people.
I'll agree with that. I think in some aspects. No, the reason I'll say is because of that. Yeah, turning the dial, it's like volume goes up, volume goes down. Yeah, I'll agree but disagree. And the reason I'm going to do that is because, you know, when you create, you're essentially opening up your heart or your brain and you're pouring something out. I don't imagine a lot of people going, so I've created this really technical spreadsheet and it's got the lookup tables and these amazing formulas.
Yeah, maybe pride, but not vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, of course they'll have pride in it, but, you know, as, you know, and as someone who, you know, when you're talking about Science for Sociopaths, you're talking about the music is very weighty. You know, you're essentially pouring your heart and soul into this music. You know, when you're writing it, are you going, man, I really hope people get this? Or are you going, I don't give a shit if people get this because this is for me? I'm
not thinking about other people when I write.
Yeah.
You know, it's only when you go to share it with other people that you start to be like, you know, but it's because you weren't thinking about other people when you were writing it.
Yeah. And I mean, that can be quite tough and daunting as well. You know, when, you know, again, referencing the earlier podcast, you were taking Science for Sociopaths material out to try and road test it and see how it would go. Actually, that's a really good question. Did you, like, having taken it out and done, when you went in to record, did the songs start off the same and end up the same? Or was it very much like, well, I've got to make a few tweaks here and I can modify this slightly?
Well, by the time that I brought it into the studio, I had been playing it for a couple years, so I'd been workshopping it in front of live audiences, and the point at which I was like, okay, I'm ready to record this, was the point at which it started to settle.
Okay.
And just like I knew what it was at that point.
And writing some of that real deeply personal stuff is respect.
Thanks.
Mad respect, because I'm too much of a pussy.
Well, how did it feel when you were doing your growly bits and you knew that you were saying something that was really deeply personal to you, but also that you're in front of an audience, but also that they couldn't understand what you were saying?
It was good. Like, for me, the whole for me, it was I always treated it as a cathartic experience where I could take all of the, you know, the anger and the rage that was kind of behind it and just really throw it out there and let people see, oh wow, yeah, no, he's really fucking angry. You know, nothing more manly than a fucking 35-year-old running around about how he's fucking angry. Relationships. It's disingenuous.
Well, but you had audiences, and so you had people who, felt what you were putting out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
whether they knew specifically what you were saying or what it was about or not.
And it was interesting, as time went on, I started writing more abstract ideas and stuff. Like there was one song I wrote called Failure of Natural Selection, which was a guy over in Sweden or Norway or Denmark or something like that, had gone on a school shooting spree. Typically a very American thing. Oh. Well, it's good to see you. The marker's not cornered. But what he'd done is he'd posted videos about it, about what he was going to do. And so what I did is I broke the song up into sections. I broke the song up into his thoughts, and was literally using his words. Yeah. The thoughts of the media.
Right.
And then the thoughts of the police and what they were saying. And I was like, this is just really fucking weird.
No, it's very topical.
Yeah. No one knew what it was about, though, which is great.
Topical. I think that the larger abstract stuff is the stuff that's worth getting upset about, because that's what I try to, that's what I try to draw attention to in my songs. I use very concrete, relatable experiences, but I'm trying to draw attention to the larger picture that is the world in which these experiences are relatable.
Yeah. But okay, so what do you find harder writing about then? The personal stuff or the topical stuff which you're passionate about? Because you're not going to sit there and write something that you're not passionate about. You're not going to sit there and go, well, I'm really ambivalent about Dr. Shane Reddy. I'm just going to write a song about him, for example. Sorry, Dr. Shane Reddy. I actually think you're a really nice guy. I just use it as a reference. But you're going to write something that you're really passionate about, right? That's topical, you know. So, Hamas, Palestine, what's happening there, which is the bigger challenge to write?
I don't think you can separate those things, because you can't write about something outside of its broader context. So when a lot of my songs are I'm to me, they're about something much bigger than the language that I'm using. Okay. And so I try to allude to that without trying to get lost in the giantness of it, and kind of whatever stage and awareness you're at when you're listening.
Yeah.
If you're feeling more this is happening to me and I relate to it on a personal level, or if you're a bit more removed and you're going, I can see why women find themselves in these situations over and over and over again. Here's another example of that.
Yeah.
You're going to feel something in there.
Okay.
That's why we moved to Whangarei.
That's why we moved to Whangarei, yeah.
So
okay.
Moved to Whangarei to get out the hood. Yeah. Try and find better opportunities for myself, and I knew I had a kid on the way and I had to grow up, So I did my best shot, came here and had my son, and I was 16 at the time when we had him, my partner had him, and it sort of changed me too, that sort of I had to wake up.
Yeah.
And from there on, that's where the hip hop started coming in, so that's where I started recording and making music and all that sort of shit, and I haven't stopped since.
With having to grow up so fast, because you've been you've been an outside kid, you've been an active kid, you discover music, and then all of a sudden it's like, congratulations, you're a dad.
Yeah, well, it's you don't know how to take it when you're at the age of 16, and you still don't understand it,
Yeah.
Like it's such a hard thing, bro. It wasn't hard at the time because you're young, eager, and you think you can do anything,
Yes.
But when you really think about it, all the hard times that you had to put up with to get through to where you are now is like, whoa. It's quite some hard times, but it's all worth it, Like, without my kids, I wouldn't be shit,
What is it they say? Hard times make good music.
Yeah, that's it, man. Like, hopefully, anyway.
So you become a dad quite young, and you're thrust into the world where you've got to work, you've got to provide. Is this when you go from, I'm going to go from just listening to hip hop to creating it?
Yeah, well, that's where it starts off. So I moved to Whangarei, had my firstborn. I started up this young daddies course. Met a few blokes. I come across this one of the brothers called Ryan YD.
Ryan YD.
What's his last name, cuz?
Is it?
Oh, bro.
Okay, here we go. We're consulting producer Andrew.
Ryan Donaldson.
Ryan Donaldson.
So the bro Ryan Donaldson. I come across the bro in this young daddies course, and he sort of guided me to my first studio time. And gave me my first software, which was Fruity Loops for my laptop. So,
Fruity Loops.
I think it was Fruity Loops 8 or 7.
Yeah.
It was pretty old school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started off making beats on their program first, but then eventually went on to walking into a studio through Ryan Donaldson's bro called Justy, which is another good bro, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where it all started, bro. From there, we sort of made a few tracks. Me, myself, my cousin, one of the other bro, Breeze, pretty much the Hori Collective. So
that's all good. You're all good.
And yeah, we walked into the studio and made our first couple of tracks. Then we fell in love with it, bro. So we sort of figured out we need to invest in ownership, man. So same as going to the bro studio. So
it does.
Yeah,
when you can record on your own time in your own time, it's much better.
Yeah, bro, and that's what we did, man. We just got ourselves a mic, a laptop, interface, and got us some software, and we were away, you know.
Nice.
We weren't the best at it at the time, but we didn't care, eh? We did a lot of garage music for like over 8 years, you know. We just did it for the love of it. That's what drove us.
What was the early, like your first sort of foray into actually stepping in front of the microphone? Who were your early styles? Who were the, like you've said, The Game and Wu-Tang, they sort of influenced you, but where did your style initially come from? Because often when we're starting, we kind of emulate some people. And
I believe on my style now, how I rap now is totally different to how I did 10 years ago. So, it's pretty, like, when I hear my shit from back then, I'm like, ooh.
Get the cringe?
Yeah, very much.
Oh, yeah.
But I suppose it formed from my environment, bro, you know. Like I said, we listened to a lot of local music, like K54, the bro OBC at the time were popping off. A lot of local artists were playing at that time, you know. It was healthy. The hip hop scene was healthy back then.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's what we sort of listened to at the time.
How long ago are we talking? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, how long ago was it? About, I don't know, how old's my son? 14. About 12 years.
Okay, right.
Yeah, 13 years.
So sort of after 2010 type sort of stuff, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. And that's I think that's when we first met. OBC was at a open mic night, yeah. At the ballroom, I believe it was, or it might have been Butterbank at the top. Yep. Yeah, it was the top, eh? Yeah. I was still young at the time too, and I didn't know how to perform or whatsoever, but I suppose we were all like that at the time because we were all young.
Yeah. What was your early content about? Those early songs. What are you sort of writing about? Are you writing about the stuff that you're going through, or are you sort of emulating the game? And
back then we just read about what we did on an average day, you know. Like when I first moved to Whangarei, I was grateful enough to have cousins already living here, you know, born and raised. So
nice.
I just went straight over there, and you know that become my circle for till today, you know.
Yeah. Very
cool. And we just hung out and just kicked it out on the street, playing rugby or, you know, shooting down to play some hoops or whatnot.
Yeah.
We just did, you know, smoked a bit of weed, got drunk and all that sort of shit.
Shit you do, really, yeah.
That's what we just read about that shit, you know.
Yeah.
It was just you know, we didn't really mimic anything, you know, like try and be like anyone else. We just ripped to what we were going through, I suppose. Yeah.
If you think back to the early stuff, you said it was a little bit cringe.
Oh yeah.
Now, how would you say Isn't it always, though, when you're starting off, it's never going to come out sounding like $1 million. But if you think back to that early stuff, how proud were you? Were you going, you know what, fuck yeah, I recorded shit. Those are my lyrics.
Are you talking about how proud I was back then or how proud I am now?
Let's go back then.
Back then, I wasn't proud, to be honest.
Oh, wow, okay.
I never liked my voice. Every time I recorded, I never liked it. I just felt like it wasn't there, you know. It wasn't until I started recording on my own, or like in the last 5 years, that's where my voice started developing, and that's where I started liking my tracks.
Yeah.
But back then, bro, I hated it, you know. I was like, I just really rap because the bros are rapping, you know.
Right,
and we love to do it. So
yeah.
That was all the cause, bro. It was nothing else, just for the love.
Yeah.
But when I used to mix my shit down, I used to be like, oh.
Yeah.
I knew I was shit, you know. I knew I was shit inside, you know.
Were you that guy that was like, oh, it's my section, I'm going to turn that down?
Yeah, well...
Boost everyone else up? Because I'll be honest, I used to do that as well. I used to say to my producer, I was like, bro, can we just pull down the vocal in the mix a little bit? Let's get a little bit more guitars there.
Yeah, bro. It's a tough one, you know.
Producer Andrew's nodding his head.
I still do that, bro.
Yeah. It was quite hard, you know, like... Because I had to mix all the bros' vocals too. So,
yeah.
And I was a new, fresh, you know, no one taught me how to do it. I might have got a few tips from a few bros, but, you know, a lot of it was just self-taught in the garage type of shit, you know.
Being self-taught, do you think that gave you a unique drive to want to get better?
I suppose so. Yeah. I believe I just, you know, passion just lit up, bro, and I just keep following passion, you know.
Yeah.
That's what it is, yeah.
Which is, I mean, you know, that I always find that really, really interesting because, you know, there's so many people out there that are incredibly talented, right?
Mm.
And then you get that group of people that try and then go, I'm shit, and then walk away from it.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So passion plays a huge part of it, for sure, no doubt.
Exactly, yeah.
And you don't have to, you know, sound like $1 million straight away, because the more you do something, the better you get at it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, where can you look at those early recordings now and look at them subjectively and go, they may be cringe, but they were what was needed at the time? Knowing where you are now, where you sit.
I suppose, like, especially in saying how the mixing was compared to how it is today, it's a big difference, you know. We're mimicking mixes from, you know, back then compared to trying to mimic a mix today is totally different, you know, because the sound frequencies are way meaner now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah. It's just, yeah, that's just, yeah.
Yeah.
French.
Yeah.
I don't really speak much about my own music, sorry, bro, you know. Like,
good.
A lot of people ask me about it and they bring it up in the street, like, oh, I remember your old track, da-da-da. I'm just like, oh, anyway.
You're like, don't embarrass me. Shh. Yeah. That shit didn't happen. It's a rumor. I mean, you know, a lot of the viewers and listeners we have always enjoy hearing about an artist's progression and journey.
Yeah, for sure.
Because... You know, it's interesting. We've had some people that were like in the age of like 5, 6, 7. They were going, "This is what I want to do. This is the only thing I'm going to do." And then they die until they get to where they are. And you know, you either stay the same or you go up. And you know, we've had a few that have gone up. We've then also had some other artists where it's been like, "Oh, I started in my late 40s." You know, because I didn't think I had any creative expression, but someone who was always around music and, you know, continued to evolve and then transition from listener to creator.
Yeah.
You know, recognizing that the early stuff's going to be shit. I can see, hand on heart, I can say my band, the first stuff I did, I listen to it now and I go, what the hell was I thinking? Those lyrics are cheesy. They're shit. But I can look back at them and go, you know what, at the time, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just made shit up as I went along.
Yeah.
So, how did you juggle everything? Very, very curious to know, because you're working, right? Full-time job?
Full-time job.
Full-time job.
Yep.
Being a dad.
Right.
Finding time to go out and get up to some extracurricular dumb shit.
Yeah, definitely.
Still do.
Yeah. Shit.
And then be a musician on top of that. Was there much sleep involved?
Not really, eh? What's sleep, bro, you know?
Yeah.
Don't know what sleep is.
Sleep when you're dead.
But no, that's for real though. Like when we were younger, I suppose when I was at that time when I started off, I didn't really have a job. I was coursing.
Okay. Yep.
So a lot of the times, you know, I finished at 3, go to the bros, and we'll just chill it all day and all night until we got something. Then we'll call it a night. We'll do that for ages. Yeah. But then it went on to like sometimes the bros will come over to my house. Then they're there for days. Sometimes they'll be there for 4 or 5 days. Wow. And we're just making tracks on tracks, you know, just for the love of it. That's all it was for, yeah.
Yeah, and because you're writing the beats as well, right?
Sometimes we'll go through and write the beats. A lot of the other times we might just jack a beat off YouTube. But, yeah.
Nowadays, I'm guessing it's different, right? You don't, for me, this is where it's going to get a little bit interesting, and this is kind of where, as I said at the start, I'd like to find out a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't write beats.
No, not myself. No.
No. So, as someone who did very traditional music, guitar, drums, bass, vocals, you know, there's all people in a room, and you're all throwing out riffs and ideas and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Where does one acquire beats from? Like, is it? Do you go? I'll approach this beat maker. What are they called? I don't even know what they're called.
Yeah, beat makers, I suppose.
Okay, right. I'll go with beat makers.
Yeah, beat maker will do.
But how do you find them? And then how does one acquire beats as well?
There's a few processes, bro. One of them, I suppose, like I said, nowadays I don't jack beats from YouTube.
No. But there's a short period of time. We don't talk about that.
But if I do have to write a track, you know, I sort of write a beat. I write to a beat on YouTube. Yeah. Then I sort of get all the lyrics and the structure of the track. Then I'll send that beat off to one of the bros. We're lucky enough to be in Northland, you know. We've got a lot of beat makers around here. So
really?
Very much, yeah.
Wow, okay. See, there's a whole new world for me. The guy that wrote the intro music for the podcast, I will call him Steve, not his... is it his beatmaker name? I will just call him Steve. Thank you. I'm sure he calls himself that. I don't really feel like any demonetization. How many beatmakers are we talking throughout Whangarei or Northland as a whole?
There's a few. Well, the ones that I work with. I work with 1, 2 in general. Okay. Malistk. Shout out to the brother Malistk.
I've heard the name.
Yeah. He used to live in Whangarei. He's been in Whangarei for a little bit. Yeah. But he lives in Auckland now. Okay. Yeah. So, but he's a dope beat maker, man. Highly recommend him if you're ever looking for a beat, bro. So what I did was rip my songs to a beat on YouTube. Okay. Then I'll send him the sample of what I've written to. Then he'll sort of restructure the beat to how I've wrote it. Right. That's the last track we did, yeah. So, and he'll send me back the beat. Then I'll re-record it or whatever, you know, onto his beat.
So essentially, you do a guide track?
Pretty much like a demo.
Yeah,
okay.
It
would be a demo for someone just to sort of have a guidance for them to write the beat in. Yeah.
Because obviously you go, well, here's the song that I like, and these are the lyrics I've put over the top of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Can you rework it so it becomes an original piece?
That's exactly it, bro. So, like the last track I sent to him was Aroma. So I sent him the beat. He had to rewrite the guitar riff because there was a guitar riff in there. So he had to record the guitar in. Yeah. He had a bass too, so he had to do the bass work. Then he pretty much did the drums and everything else on FL Studio. Okay. And that's
which is still Fruity Loops, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Fruity Loops,
wow, yeah. Crazy.
So we put it all together that way. Then that's how I got the beat back. Yeah.
Now, thinking about it from a cost perspective, when working with, I don't want to say beat makers because essentially they're producers, right?
Pretty much, producers. Yeah, they're producers.
Do you? No, we've had another guest mention this before. Do you buy beats? Is that what you do?
There's a few times I have. Well, I've done it once through the internet, like through an app called BeatStar. I did a collaboration with one of my cousins in Auckland.
Yeah.
Twisted Storms Shadow. He figured out what beat I should write to.
Yeah.
He sort of helped me compose the lyrics, like gave me a guideline on what to write on. And we had to go and buy that beat off BeatStar.
BeatStar, yeah.
Otherwise we couldn't upload it to the platform, sort of thing, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Are beats expensive?
They are, but they're cheap in the same way. It depends how you go. There's a few processes, so you can lease them.
Lease?
Lease.
You can lease a beat?
Lease them, yeah,
Holy
bro.
shit.
So you get about, I think it's 30,000 plays royalty for yourself.
Yeah.
And the rest, I'm not too sure how it works, but as soon as you hit that 30,000 plays, the rest of the royalties must go back to the beat maker.
Right, okay.
Or there's other ways you can go around it, you know. You can buy the full rights. Sometimes you can start from like $100 to $1,000, depends what type of beat it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Or you can, you know, buy the full rights at the same time, get the stems, you know. There's heaps of ways of doing it, you know.
Far out.
Yeah,
okay.
So that beat we purchased, I think we just leased it, and it only costed us like $60. So.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't too bad, yeah.
So relatively cost effective, right?
Yeah, well, $60 for 30,000 plays for royalties towards us, and we can use it for one video clip or two. I think it was two. Might have been two video clips. But yeah, there's a few. There's a guideline on what you can use the beat for.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So the two you primarily work with now, is that sort of something that's happened over a period of time?
Definitely.
Where you go, well, I've worked with like 30 different producers, but these two really understand the music you're trying to convey, the message you want to convey as well.
Yeah.
And they collaborate well?
It's not so much that way. It's more so we've worked with each other over the years, you know. Like, we've known each other for so much years.
Yeah.
Being a small town whangarei, we sort of just got to utilise whoever's around us, sort of thing, you know. But, so we just, it was just really whoever's there, really. Like, I've even reached out to a bro over in Germany. So I've
wow.
Yeah, so another bro that's in Germany's also done a few track for myself. He rewrote a beat for me.
Yeah.
So I've done the same process. Wrote it to another beat, then sent it over to the bro, and he rewrote the beat.
Oh wow.
Then he mixed and mastered it for me as well. So that was a good thing. Then,
and you'd pay for that as like a package? Or is it a bro that knows a bro?
Yeah, well, he just loved my music.
Oh, okay, cool.
He loved my music and he was willing to work with me for free. So
yeah,
we sort of just used each other to expose each other, really. Like, now he charges out other people to, if anyone wants a mix, you got to charge. He charges out, you know?
Right, yeah.
But for me, I was quite lucky. He enjoyed my music, so yeah.
Yeah, far out. Okay. So the two main guys you work with at the moment are, let me get
Buddha Sticks.
Buddha Sticks? I was about to say Buddha Beats. I apologise.
Buddha Sticks. And a few years ago, about 4 years ago, I used to work for another bro called Alkeys. He was another producer here from Whangarei.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, I got another producer, bro, that's over in Christchurch. He doesn't really produce anymore, but when I was making making tracks a couple of years back, or a year ago, he was making a few of my beats as well.
Okay.
And his name is Bailey Watson. Bailey Watson Beats, yeah. And I was quite lucky to come through him too. That was just through Facebook, really, how that connection worked. And it was the same thing, you know, people reach out when they hear good music, so they just reach out and they just PM, give you a drop and be like, oh yeah, I can do this and do that, and make something happen, you know.
Far out. That's wicked, man.
Yeah.
Man, it's such a, you know, I guess nowadays it's very much the norm being a digital medium, right?
Yeah.
You know, you've got thousands of people, you know, hundreds of thousands around the world that you can kind of access.
Yeah, bro.
And you can go, I like that beat, I like that beat, I like that beat. And if you've got cash, you can go, I'll buy it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But how long is the process for you from initial inception through to release?
Oh, it could take from 1 month to 1 year. Depends how I feel, really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been, I got a track coming out soon. I've been sitting on this for a couple of years too. Just the lyrics itself.
Right,
I've written the lyrics for, I've sat on the lyrics for 2 years.
Yeah.
I've just figured out where to get this beat. I found the right beat for it. That's all I've been waiting for, is the right beat. So I put this song together. So, and yeah, it's, that's the longest time it took me to, get a track recorded. Yeah. And
2 years, a long time, man.
And it took me about, I don't know, a month to mix, I suppose. And I sent it to the bro Josh Lewis. He's another Northland producer as well.
Josh Lewis, shout out.
He did the mastering for that track, so
nice.
Appreciate the bro as well. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's just so crazy. 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years I've been sitting on these lyrics, and I didn't really, I've been rewriting them and, just putting bits and pieces here during that journey of writing the track.
When you're going through beats, I guess I don't have a real reference, so I imagine there'd be like a playlist, and you just kind of click on one and then you hear a beat. And what makes a beat stand out for you?
I suppose the vibe or what it gives me, you know, like suppose the energy that I feel. I like hype beats that are hypey.
Up tempo. Right, okay. Yeah. None of these
modernized,
slow beats.
Yeah, I like very modern beats, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm very into modern beats. Trap sound, a little bit of drill, afro type, that sort of stuff. But I mean, yeah, like I can adapt to any type of beat, really. If I have to work with a beat, I can work with it. Depends what the concept is, really. And yeah.
When you and producer Andrew kind of connected, did you go, yeah, this dude's pretty choice, I can write with him? Or did you instantly go, he's a dick, but I'll tolerate him for now?
No, it was cool. Like,
still here.
Yeah, you can
still
hear.
Still here.
Hey,
sorry.
It was probably like the first fellow I heard sing, so I was like, oh shit, this is different. This is all good.
Yeah.
And then it was him and Ants, and so the kind of 4 or 5 of us. That's like the roots of OBC, pretty much.
Oh wow! So what year is that?
2007.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And that's sort of the first. That's the first iteration of OBC.
Yeah. So back then it was the Outbreak Empire. Don't know where the name came from. Sounds like a church.
Isn't that
group.
OBE?
Yeah.
Outbreak Empire.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how it changed. I don't know. Yeah, we just kind of went with OBC in the end and didn't give it a meaning. But we didn't want to use Outbreak Empire just because it sounded fucking corny.
Right, okay. All right, so then what did OBC stand for at the time then? Because obviously it wasn't Outbreak Empire.
It wasn't OBC back then. It was Outbreak Empire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
After it became, so when it moved from Outbreak Empire to becoming OBC,
that was a few years later.
Oh right, okay.
And I think that was Outbreak Crew, which still sounded real church groupy.
Right.
It does if you.
Okay. Yeah. Like that the youth groups that would go to schools and do rock concerts.
Yeah.
And they would seem cool.
Yeah.
Well, they played like covers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's
it was always like a blaze or something to do with flames, or I don't know. I was always burning. I've just noticed. Gone past.
Fire for the Lord, brother.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you guys sort of remained mates and were the Outbreak Empire all the way through high school?
Yeah, well, it was probably like the last few years for us, really. Like, that was my last year of high school.
Okay.
When did you leave high school? Probably that year, eh?
No, I don't think it was soon enough for him.
Bang on 16. October 25th.
Or you left that school or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was only really like a year at the most.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then,
And then you made your break. Now, when you left school, did you just go into the workforce? Did you have a bit of time off, or what did you do?
I probably had like a month off and then had to start working. Just doing. I think I applied at a Indian takeaway as a joke, and then they gave me the job. I was like, oh fuck. Like behind the counter, I was like.
And how long, pray tell, did you work at this?
I was there for a year because it actually turned out to be pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah, shit. Yeah, free butter chicken, free naan breads. I was
the perks.
Fuck, it was mean. Like, it was not bad. Only bad part was that like the manager used to try and disappear like before on payday, so he wouldn't have to give me my check. But yeah, other than that, it was pretty sweet.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had to kind of chase him.
Now, are you still writing beats at this point? Are you?
Yep.
Are you performing, or is it just recording music?
Nowhere near performing at this point.
Wow. Okay.
So we were supposed to have a few gigs lined up well before then, but for whatever reason, they all kind of fell through. Yeah. I don't actually know. We weren't. I think these guys had performed. Actually, that was another thing I'd seen. They the other two perform at like a youth group thing. I was like, fuck, this is mean, but yeah, it'll be ages before we'd all perform as a group.
Okay, so by ages, are we talking what, 5?
Like 4 years, yeah.
4 years.
Yeah. We pissed around a lot for pretty much from that 2007 till 2011. We just did fuck all.
Far out. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did heaps, but we kind of pissed it away. Like it was more just drinking and doing dumb shit.
Right, okay.
We did the odd song. So we did the original.
In between getting plastered, you'd write a track.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was like a weekend or something where we wrote about 4 songs and we thought we were going to keep that momentum up and we never did.
And then you got drunk.
Or
And just never sustained?
Pretty much. It was just some weird shit would happen. Like, I think one of us ended up moving away at some point and just, just not a lot got done until about 2011.
Wow.
And that was kind of when the actual OBC thing happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's that 4-year period.
Where we just kind of...
Just found yourselves.
Yeah, we were just young, you know. You don't really have any...
Direction.
Yeah, you're more into other shit, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we hit 2011.
Yeah.
Start performing, start doing a little bit of work, getting a little bit more serious, or is it still just casual as at that point?
It was still casual as. I think. So at some point we got hold of I remember because Andrew and Ryan, I don't even know how Ryan kind of came into it. I knew him from high school.
Yeah.
But they just came up to me one day and were like, bro, do you want a job as a, audio engineer at this place? And no, excited as. I was just like, fuck, this sounds too good to be true. And then they went and kind of showed me the place, and it was a legit studio.
Wow.
And, we started just hanging out there and writing and that and just kind of experimenting with the gear and stuff. And then at the same time, the other 2 members at the time, Jesse and ATAC, were kind of doing their own thing. And we all kind of came together in that spot and started recording.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we kind of started getting a little bit more serious with actually getting shit done. We eventually had a falling out with the owner or something happened there where we're just like, oh, fuck this, we'll just go back to recording in people's rooms and stuff.
Right, okay.
And that's kind of where we ended up coming up with the first EP. And
what was that called?
Dealing with the Melodies. I almost forgot. Fuck.
What's it called? Dealing with the Melodies.
Deadly with the Melodies.
Deadly with the Melodies.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That was a line borrowed from an older song, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Black and Oak.
Nah, one of our songs. Me and ATAC, I think.
I got it from Deadly Medley.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was named by ATAC because me and him did a song called,
Okay, that's right.
Oh, well, we've got some heated debate in the podcast. Okay, so you were in the studio. Is that sort of where your desire to learn more about production sort of stemmed from? Is that kind of the original impetus?
Nah, so a couple of years before that, actually that was one thing that happened between those 4 years we didn't really do much. I disappeared for like a year. I went down to Auckland and studied at SAE just to do a electronic music production course.
Yeah.
And I failed, I just didn't turn up to half the shit. But I was the first kind of time going into a actual proper studio with all the gear and all the synthesizers and sounds and shit. And You could, like, they let you kind of have 2-hour slots. You could book in time just to do whatever in there. And they said, 2 hours isn't that long. You'll go in there and you'll just piss around with the sounds and that. And that's exactly what happened pretty much. You just go in there and do nothing. Just go through presets pretty much.
Yeah.
But it was pretty, it was pretty mind-blowing at the time, though, because we never had that kind of access to that kind of shit at the time.
Yeah. Because is there anything, or was there anything like they had down in Auckland, up in Whangarei or Northland?
Probably. I mean, I know like Big Door was around, and there's a studio up Mount Tiger and that, but they wouldn't let you just go in there and, well, I don't know. Actually, we never really tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And often when you go away and you learn some skills, you bring them back, and then you can kind of apply them to the local area.
Yep. That's kind of what happened with that, because with that second EP we done, it was a whole lot of like live. It was a lot more. We got a lot more kind of musicians in.
Yeah. Right.
Way more than like I don't know. We just had people coming in to play stuff and sing stuff, and it was came in handy.
Now, the whole time of this, who is the core of OBC at this point?
2012.
Yeah.
So it was me, Andrew. Not ATAC. Jesse, Ants. Who else would you count? Would you? Like, I don't know.
Well, I'm asking you. You're the guest.
Yeah, I need
Drawing
a second opinion.
Second opinion here. Right,
that was the core though, pretty much. So yeah. So Ryan was.
Everyone else kind of came in and did their part, but the core group was that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Now, it sounds to me like there's been a few members over the years, right?
Yeah.
Is OBC sort of like the Wu-Tang Clan, where people just sort of come in and come out as required?
Even looser than that, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think at one point we might have had like 12 people.
Right.
We had like 2 drummers.
Okay. And did you perform live with 2 drummers?
Nah, we only had 1 drum kit. So and
one drum kit in a bucket?
Yeah, I don't know. We just swapped them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wow. Okay. I mean, that's so for someone who's relatively new to OBC.
Yeah.
I know you guys mainly from your Zero BC album, which is the most recent album, right?
Yeah.
But you've had like a whole lot of EPs and other albums along the way. Is that right?
Another 4-ish, 5-ish, yeah.
The Bakery Sessions.
Yeah.
Tell me about. I don't understand what the Bakery Sessions is. Did you guys eat a lot of pies? Sausage rolls?
So yeah, the bakery was a Nissan Wing Road, I think, and we just get baked in it, basically.
Right. Okay. Alrighty.
Yeah.
I should not have expected anything different.
Nah, it's just a hot box.
Right. On wheels.
Pretty much, yeah. Parked up. Like, I never moved. It was always just in the carport, and we'd kind of just go out there and smoke and say what we were gonna do. And then just not do it.
Yeah.
I think at one stage we were going to make an entire EP, and that didn't happen.
So right, that makes a lot more sense when you think about the album titles, the Bakery Sessions.
Yeah.
And how does everything sort of go for the next few years? You guys like gigging regularly? Are you releasing albums consistently? What does that look like, or is it very much a piecemeal, when we get around to it, she'll be right, fella?
Nah, between 2011 and 2013, we're pretty busy with gigs and making shit. Like, we all kind of lived, a few of us lived in the same flat, and then, it was all pretty central and shit, so we're pretty busy.
Yeah.
Just jamming and, making heaps of stuff. And then eventually we got evicted somehow, and it all kind of just turned to shit from there. 2014...
to now, there's a long time. We've had a COVID lockdown. You guys released Zero BC. What happened in that sort of time period between 2014 and Zero BC? Because now, did that come out during lockdown? And was it the first or second one?
Zero BC?
Yeah.
That came out during... Shit, I actually don't know. It came out of, like, we started working on some of those songs in, like, 2018.
Okay.
So yeah, actually, we're gonna have to go back like to 2014.
Yep, let's go back to 2014.
We made like a whole series of EPs from then on called the Fresh Off the T-Ship or something, and then by 2018 or 2017 or something, everyone was just sick of each other's shit and sick of the whole thing, and it all just turned to shit again.
Really?
Yeah. And so then after that, OBC kind of split into the two projects, which was Soil, which was me and Andrew, and then Northern Advocates, which was me, Andrew, and what did I just say? Me and Andrew again. Yeah. Me and ATAC, too many A names, and sometimes Cam, and Zero BC kind of was those two things coming back together.
Oh wow!
Merging into another thing, so that's kind of how it started. Yeah.
Okay, so OBC, for all intents and purposes, disbanded.
Pretty much.
And just everyone kind of went their own way.
Yeah.
But I guess you were the common denominator in both of those new projects, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So that's, it just kept moving and changing. And
yeah, wow.
So, yeah.
Okay, so then what made, everyone goes along and then it fractures.
Yep.
But then it comes back together.
Yep.
What brought it back together? Is it just time apart, you're not dealing with each other, or was it just a personality thing and everyone just kind of left their egos at the door?
I'm not the one with the issues. You'd probably have to ask the others for that. It was more between everyone else. I was kind of just like, fuck, I just want to make music.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Out of all the albums you've done, which is the one that you're kind of the most proud of and the one that you think represents you as an artist and the work that you do?
Either this last one we done or Bakery Sessions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bakery Sessions was cool because it was more of a community thing. Like we had heaps of people in on it, and it was heaps of, I just felt like I wasn't just making all the beats and everything. It was just a different way of making shit at the time.
Yeah, nice.
A lot more musicians involved, and Zero BC I like because it was more focused, I guess.
Well, as someone who's listened to your entire discography, I will say Zero BC is a very mature album.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of discipline there, whether it be Slow or the other tracks as well. It's almost like everyone went, right, we've got pinpoint accuracy on this.
Yeah, it kind of, we kind of thinged it down to like and it wasn't really talked about. We just kind of wrote to the same beat or whatever, and it just happened to fit.
Oh wow!
We didn't really try to write along the same lines or anything. Like a few of them we just wrote to it, and then the other person would come in and just be, I got this, and it would just fit with it.
Okay. So
it all kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
In a weird way, yeah.
Okay, and then now Zero BC came out in 2000, is that right?
2021.
2021? Oh, 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you've had another extended break.
Yeah. Yeah.
What sort of led to this break?
I had a kid.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just made it real hard to kind of do anything.
Right.
Because everyone had a different set of circumstances.
Yeah.
Major life changes.
Yeah. If presented with the opportunities, are OBC going to perform again?
Yep.
Yeah.
Even if we just got a busk, like.
Yeah.
We're looking at other stuff.
Yeah.
As, other ways of performing as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, everyone. We wrap it up. 5 weeks of amazing bits and pieces from the 20 plus musicians we've had on the podcast. It has been absolutely amazing. There's been, it's all around having conversations around people being involved in music, what their experiences are, not only in Northland but New Zealand, and for some of our guests that have been international as well, and sort of how they've found their journey as a musician and stuff like that. Filled with highs and lows, and definitely some Kiwi ingenuity about getting shit done. Some musicians fall into the rock and roll lifestyle or traps, if you will, and it's very cool that people can sort of have these open and honest conversations and discussions, man. It's really important. And as someone who was a musician for, the better part of a decade of my life, to be able to sit down and relate with a lot of these people as well is just amazing. So, to sort of wrap up this, if this is your first New Zealand Music Month anniversary sort of podcast, there are 4 more before it. Highly recommend you checking them out. Where can you find them? For visuals, you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all Northland Artists Conversation. For the audio, you can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube Podcasts. Again, Northland Artists Conversation, just the easier way. If you're like me and you want to keep it simple, just go to Google Chrome and just type in Northland Artists Conversation. Find which one you prefer, whether you want to watch it or listen to it. Either way, it's up to you guys. But yeah, and if you want to be on the podcast, whether you come into the studio or whether we do it remotely, or if you've got some really cool stuff that we can celebrate, reach out to us, man. hello@northlandartistsconversation.co.nz is the email address, or get in touch with us via our socials. I can guarantee you that someone's going to get back to you. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. I'm going to go back to the wide camera this time. It's been a crazy month for May. Man, a lot of cool things happened. This is the fifth one, fifth podcast. We've sort of celebrated the artists that are in the area or have popped in. It's been cool to just kind of hear everyone's like words and some of their thoughts and feelings around it. The other thing is I turned 50. So there you go. Don't feel like it. Some days I do look like it, but that's another story. So anyway, on behalf of producer Andrew, editor Lee J, engineer Steve, I am Mark Kelly. I am the host of Northland Artists Conversation. Guys, thank you so much for checking us out and supporting this this 25th anniversary of New Zealand Music Month. We will see you guys real soon.